Welcome back, everyone, for the second series of the day. We are going to Division B West this time between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. Now, it's week number 2 now, so let's take a quick look at the standings, see how we are. The Roll1Esports did get their 2-0 win, and Surely We Scale did lose to Bunker Fun Time, but it was 2-1. So both these two teams have at least one map win under their belt. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see how close these two teams are going to be today. Now, this is another one of those double round robin divisions, if I'm correct anyway. Will take me a little bit of time to learn which division does what, because there's a lot of divisions. But regardless of that, we do have the map bans completed. And how it ended up going is that the map pick did go to Roll1Esports, and Surely We Scale, they decided to take first pick in the draft. So Brax's Holdout and Alterac Pass gonna get banned away by Roll1Esports, and Dragonshire and Towers of Doom gonna get banned by Surely We Scale. And we are going right back to Infernal Shrines. Now it's gonna be interesting because it is a back-to-back cast. There was a little break in between, but the last map we had, game 2 of the previous series, was Infernal Shrines, and we're just going to run it right back, but this time we're going to have 10 different players from a different division, B West, so skipping up above D and C. So these are going to be teams that have played a while together. These are going to be teams that, well, they practice a lot better, play more Storm League in general anyway. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these two teams are going to play and how different is it going to be in terms of which heroes they decide to pick, how they prioritize the macro, etc., etc. Now, we're just waiting on one last player, and then we should be able to get started, but it's going to be an interesting matchup today because it's still early in the season, but I do think getting a couple wins early in the season definitely helps build momentum. It helps build confidence with the players, with the teams. It helps them kind of mesh together a little bit better. So I think in terms of just mentality and momentum, it makes it a lot easier when you win your first couple weeks. Now, every year we always have a couple teams that just manage to start coming back at the end of the season. We've already had Magnitude Aftershock in Division B last season in Season 18, where they barely even made the playoffs and they weren't doing too hot for the entire season. And then they looked dominant all the way to the semifinals. They barely lost there too. They were still a very strong team in the top 4. So that's kind of what I like seeing from these teams, how they slowly but surely just start playing better and better and better and better. Like we saw in the previous season, Div E, even in Div E, it is our bottom division, but they are looking so much stronger. Because that's what playing competitive does. It lets these players, these teams, just keep practicing, keep improving their combos. So even if they don't end up climbing too much in Storm League, and a lot of these players, they don't bother with Storm League anymore. There's really no reason with the NGS existing. They become much stronger players overall. Yes, we're still waiting on the 10th player, but I guess right now I can go ahead and let you know ahead of time my schedule for the week, because for me it's going to be a pretty light schedule. I'm going to be doing no cast tomorrow. It is actually my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to be going out for dinner with the family. Going to cast at least one game on Thursday, most likely just going to be the one series. The schedule doesn't really line up for a double cast. And then I'll also be taking Friday off, so if there's any cast available on the weekend, you'll see me there, but I usually try and leave the weekend ones to other people, since my schedule is a lot more open than basically everyone else is out of the casters. But the last player has joined, so we should be getting started into the game momentarily. I'm really excited to see what these two teams are going to start picking, how they're going to play. And yeah, I don't know. I love watching NGS, and especially with this season, there's been so many patches. I talked about it during the preseason and during the first week of games, but like the meta has changed a little bit. I'm surprised I'm not seeing as much Oriole as I expected. I think Oriole is still a little bit underrated for a lot of teams. I think she could very well could be the single best healer in the game right now. I could also be wrong, but that's how I feel about it anyway. And then I think Joanna is still picked a little bit too much. I mean, I'm sure Joanna is just a very strong hero overall, even with the E build that got nerfed. So, but it looks like we are about to get set up. Okay. All the players are in. Everyone's saying's ready. Oh, JK, never mind. One of them's feeding the dog now. Oh, well, this is life. We can all just hang out, enjoy the music, enjoy the podcast, I guess. Yeah, I guess I can kind of... I was going to say I can kind of talk about NGS as a whole, but we are getting started with the second series of the day. All right, and here we are. Surely We Scale versus Roll1Esports. We have the first draft of the day, and it'll be our second Infernal Shrines of the day. But these are going to be two different teams from Div B West. Now, Nubarak going to be the first ban coming out from Surely We Scale. And I have noticed that Nubarak has been picked and banned quite a bit more. And I'm wondering if this is partially because, well, Nubarak does have a lot of power points. The Cocoon is a guaranteed stun. I don't believe you can cleanse out of it at all. And at the same time, with Joanna being a bit more nerfed, Nubarak becomes a little bit stronger. You know, when the top of the table goes down, it makes the middle look a lot better and a lot more attractive in terms of picks. Now the Falstad going to get banned away by Roll1Esports, trying to get rid of that global presence. And then the Hammerang as well, if you get enough stacks, you could basically just one-hit a set of skeletons on the objectives on the shrine. Stukov going to be the second ban for Surely We Scale. And I've been seeing a lot of Stukov bans recently. I think because they did nerf Rhaegar, they nerfed Anduin in the last few patches. I don't remember exactly which one. I don't think it's the last one. I think it's the one before that. But because of that, the two dominant healers for a couple years now are no longer must-haves, must-picks. And with that, Stukov becomes even stronger. Now, it definitely still has the weakness of not having a cleanse. It's the only healer in the game that doesn't have a cleanse, but more than makes up for it with the offensive capabilities. Now, Garrosh was the second ban for Roll1Esports, but first pick Hanzo for tie-dye tights. Now, Hanzo isn't super good at clearing the skeletons. The scatter shot is difficult to do over the wall, so Hanzo has to play within the wall. And it's very hard to focus down a couple of the skeletons. You want like a big AoE damage rather than a ton of single target. It's a lot easier to steal that way. It's a perfect day for some now, Junkrat's pretty decent at that. Dr. Evil going to lock in the Junkrat and then Rock Your World going to lock in the Diablo. Big beefy tank. Now, Hanzo does have the max percent HP talent. I believe it's at level 16 or level 13. On the scatter shot. So in the right angles, Hanzo can absolutely shred through the Diablo. But it does require a decent level of skill. It's hard to hit those scatter shots. And it's also possible to play around that on the side of Rock Your World. But now Meme's going to lock in the Joanna. And Tyka's locked in for Ulysses. So they still need their healer. They still need the offlaner on the side of Surely We Scale. And that does limit what needs to be banned. So if there's any specific role that they're more worried about, that they're more afraid of, they can get rid of it right now. But the Tychus pick is pretty good here. Very good at clearing away the skeletons. Very strong into Diablo. And will add a lot more pressure once they start the siege. Odin is very good at sieging and team fighting. So Ulysses is going to have a very strong pick here. But now Anduin going to get banned away by Roll1Esports. And this is one of the fun things that I love about specifically the HOTS drafting, where there's an uneven amount of picks before the second ban phase. I think it adds a lot to it. But they're going to ban away the Zeratul. Interesting. So definitely a little bit concerned about a Zeratul player on the side of Roll1Esports. However, looks like... But it's going to be interesting to see what they end up picking in the offlane instead. Maybe it's something that they're worried about getting countered with. And I believe Hanzo can get killed pretty easily by Zeratul, so that would make some sense. Now, the Deckard Cain locked in by Juaniba. And Orphea from Velvet. Okay. Okay, I see you. That's a very interesting pick. Obviously, can deal a ton of damage if played in the right way. Is technically a mage, but I will say one big thing when playing Orphea is that blinds affect Orphea so much. If you have that triple stack, you can't really use it. And Memes Dawn the Drana is going to be able to blind the Orphea. And especially with the other character being Junkrat, it's definitely going to be focused more onto Velvet. Now D.Va and Whitemane locked in for Ector and Kagamine Len. Now, so it's going to be D.Va going into the off lane, now going to be against the Leoric on Zad. And Whitemane, that's another healer that I've noticed is getting picked a lot more. The Scarlet Aegis is a very powerful ability, always has been. I remember even watching back in HLC, I believe it was called, and even back in the Blizzard days with the HOTS Champions League. And yeah, Whitemane, the Scarlet Aegis, just does so much power during teamfights. But yeah, I like both these two drafts, so we're going to have to see who can outplay in game number 1. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are on Infernal Shrines, the first map of this series between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. Now, it's going to be a very interesting offlane. I believe this is another one of those cases where neither one really has kill pressure on the other, because both of these two heroes are pretty good at healing themselves and just keeping their HP up. They're just going to clear and get away. But one thing I will say is, especially with the Leoric pick onto Roll1Esports, with Leoric and Diablo, the Tychus just gets even more value. It's an offlaner that is very high base HP, so that minigun's really going to be able to shred. Now, both teams are going to start grouping towards the mid lane. Some grenades are going to be thrown out. Tie-Dye Tights throws one back just for fun. Concussion Mine is placed in that bottom bush, but no one really wants to walk forward into it. Tie-Dye Tights just going to get knocked back by the Concussion Mine. Thank you for the free poke. Ulysses going to be getting hit, but now Zad maybe a little bit too far forward. A little bit of DPS going on there, but now Ulysses is going to get shadow charged into the wall, and they're focusing Ulysses, and that's going to be first blood going to Roll1Esports. And Rock Your World able to get the shadow charge and the overpower, like the perfect angle. And then there's just no space for the Hanzo to really get away. Once you're stuck in that wall, and Velvet able to deal so much burst damage. And that's the power of the Orphea. Very strong at 1v1 dueling, but also incredibly powerful during teamfights because it's so easy to get those stacks. Now Ector is running back down to mid lane. Looks like Ector's plan is to double soak, but it doesn't look like Roll1Esports is going to allow that. Now it's going to be Zad shoving out the top side. Nowhere really to go, though, with the mid lane already getting cleared by Roll1Esports. Might roam down, look for an extra aggressive player, just kind of cover them. But siege camps have been started by both sides, already finished off by Roll1Esports. And now Surely We Scale should be able to finish it off in just a moment. However, Roll1Esports already starting over on this bot side siege camp. This is going to be a pretty big one for them if it's not contested. Now, it doesn't seem like they know quite yet, but there is still that one siege minion. But nope, they will be able to safely take it for themselves. They do need to send Memes over in mid lane to kind of deal with the siege camp. So that's going to be a one camp advantage for Roll1Esports. They have level 4s now as well, but level 4 is going to be there pretty soon for Surely We Scale as well. Memes not going to get jumped upon by Rock Your W. Just going to be able to walk away as they're both facing off against each other. Now Tie-Dye Tights going to be using the overpower just to clear the wave, but this siege camp is actually doing a decent bit, and I don't really know the abilities. Dread, Chomp, and Shadow Waltz. Just goes to show how often we see Orphea picked. I still don't know most of the ability names. I'll do my best with it, but no promises. But yeah, with the Dread, we'll be able to just clear away this bottom cannon tower. And with the final grenade coming out from Dr. Evil, they will be able to clear it. However, Tie-Dye Tights and Kagamine Line are going to be going onto this bruiser camp over on the top side. Gonna get matched by Roll1Esports, as Juaniba already looks like they're gonna be starting this. And bring actually the entire roster, basically. from Roll1Esports. The exception being Zad, who's just clearing away that top side. But they got most of the bot lane wall, and I think that's a pretty solid advantage to get early on. Now, they are losing pressure over towards mid and bot, which is a bit unfortunate because that's where the skeletons are spawning. But how I believe they're planning on making this work is having Zad push away their bruiser camp, and then the bruiser camp on the side of Roll1Esports is going to be having that pressure. But I think it's going to take a bit too long before it can really materialize. Depends how long can they delay. It's already 25-4 in terms of skeletons. But Surely We Scale got a pretty sizable lead to start. Now self-destruct is going to get thrown out. Shadow Charge just going to be utilized to pull them away from the team. But very bad spot for them. They're going to lose the Punisher. Can't even really contest it. Zad is going to get a bit of value over on the top side, but how much can they get with this Punisher? It is the Mortar Punisher, so it's pretty good at taking down these structures. Just a ton of AoE DPS. Now they're going to have the Condemn onto Rocky W. Already at half HP, actually. A lot more damage than I expected. A Concussion Mine going to knock Memes away after a couple of hits from the fort. But the wall, at the very least, looks like it will be taken down. Level 7s now on both these two teams. They're looking for the play, but Condemn not going to land onto Rocky W. Dr. Evil 12 actually getting hit with so much DPS over in the backline. And they got about half the fort, maybe a little bit more. So not a terrible play, but unfortunately that play is matched on the top side just with that bruiser play from before. And their bruisers didn't even really approach the wall as Zad was able to clear it out beforehand. Now the siege camp has respawned again. Both sides are going to be going onto it, but the siege camp on Roll1Esports did respawn just that little bit earlier. Now so Roll1Esports will be able to finish theirs off first. Doesn't look like they'll be able to contest even if they wanted to. Because Surely We Scale was not too far behind. Now they're walking forward. Memes might be looking for a play. It's just onto Rocker W, but the Concussion Mine going to stop any kind of play there. And that's the power of the Junkrat. Able to provide so much extra pressure, so much crowd control, and it's so difficult to engage into it. And I think with the composition that Surely We Scale have, their engage only really becomes strong at level 10. But now Memes right next to Dr. Evil, able to pull 3 with a Condemn, but unfortunately no follow-up. The Chomper does go on to tie-dye tights. But neither side's really going to be able to continue with it. The scatter shots. Oh, interesting. Actually, I just realized this is a power shot build. So that's a very interesting build. I never even checked because it's almost always going to be the scatter shot. But now they're almost on to Zad. Zad just a little bit low. A couple more hits. And it is going to be the first kill for Surely We Scale. Memes able to get the last hit. The Wraith Walk wasn't enough to get to safety. But in the meanwhile, Roll1Esports, they're going to use this pressure. They got the camp. They got the siege camp. And with that, they're going to be pushing and breaking this bot lane wall. Could look towards the fort, but they are short one player on the field. So they're just going to back away, take the trade, and call it a day. But now Hector is in the middle of the entire team, going to get stunned up. Will dodge away the chomp. And now level 10s are up for both these teams. And the bot lane gonna get cleared back by Surely We Scale. And has this been Stormbow this whole time? It is Stormbow. I always thought it was Power Shot. I don't know why. Yeah, it's the Stormbow build coming out from the Hanzo. But now Hector gonna clear away the top side and still matching with Zad. Like I said, there's not too much excitement over on that part of the map. It's just two beefcakes just slapping each other. Neither one is really too strong in terms of the damage they can provide. But the amount of tankiness and the disruption they can bring into the team fights, that's where it's really going to come through. The self-destruct from Hector as well. And Hector is actually able to land onto these cannon towers, going to take out the gate and the bottom cannon tower. And that'll help create a little bit of space over towards this top side. And if they're able to once again win on the side of Surely We Scale for the Punisher, it'll put them in a really good spot. But now it looks like they want to invade onto the bruiser camp. Rocky W is walking forward, but Hector already in place. But it does seem like the positioning is a bit difficult for them, so they're just going to back it up. And instead, use that timer to once again go early onto these skeletons. And with their team comp, they actually kill them super fast. Memes might have had an opportunity to engage, but decides to hold the trigger for now. Hector going to get knocked into everything. But now the Odin is coming out, so it looks like the fight does want to get started by Surely We Scale. Couple autos going to come through, and Tomb doesn't land onto anyone, and now Bounce going on in the back line, and the self-destruct The Apocalypse has already landed. Stay a while and listen does land. And it's onto the healer. It's onto Kagamine Len. And just like that, they no longer have a healer. But look at the damage going on in the back line. They have the stun onto the Diablo, but they do have souls. They're going to be back very soon. Dr. Evil is still alive, hitting in the background. 28 and 13 in terms of skeletons. Hector going to go to Baby Diva form. And straight into the stun. Straight into the chomp from Velvet. And that's going to be 2 for 1 for Roll1Esports. And they should be able to get themselves this Punisher. And since it's on the top side, this is already a pretty low HP fort. This should be the first fort for them. And getting a decent amount of value out of that stay a while and listen. So typically you want that on multiple members. They only got it onto one, but it was the perfect member to hit it on. So now the push is going to be starting. They're bringing more teammates over to the top side. And this will also unlock this bruiser camp for Roll1Esports if they do want to use their pressure that way. They don't really have too much DPS to finish off the Punisher, so the top fort will go down. And the Punisher's still healthy. They could keep going with this. They could start looking towards the wall. They could start looking, probably not towards the keep, but definitely something they can do here. But now, yep, there it is. It's going to be the little jump from the Punisher. And they're just going to back away on the side of Roll1Esports. It looks like they may want the bruiser camp, but no, they're just backing away. They're going to go towards the mid lane. But now Hector is able to get a little bit of time onto the fort over in the spot lane. Knows the rest of Roll1Esports is coming, so starts backing away immediately. That's still a very big win for Roll1Esports. But what I am a little bit surprised about is that there's not much of an XP lead for them. They've been winning a lot of these extra siege camps, but I think Hector has been doing a great job soaking in the off lane. And I do believe that's why the XP difference is so close. They only have the one extra kill compared to Surely We Scale, but with the buildings, with the abundance of camps they've gotten, because I'm pretty sure they've gotten every single one of these bot side siege camps. It really goes to show how much pressure you can get just by catching the waves as an offlaner. But now they're also going to try stealing away this siege camp. They are on even talents, but the positioning just not there for Surely We Scale. They decide it's better to just give it away. Hector once again just running and clearing away the wave. Feeling pretty confident. Shadow Wall's going to be pulling in closer towards Hector, but just going to use the rocket boosters and get away. Now there's still the siege camp pushing in towards mid lane, and they're going to be able to take away one of the cannon towers and the gate as well. And looks like they're going to be able to take away both these gates and this entire wall, really. So great job, great play so far by Roll1Esports. They're playing very slow, methodical, and they're playing with a lot of distance. And I think that makes a lot of sense into Surely We Scale, because Surely We Scale do not have a good way of engaging without using their heroic abilities. It's just going to be the bounce coming out, or the bunny hop, sorry, coming out from the Diva, the Blessed Shield, and the Dragon Arrow. So all of those are long cooldowns. If you don't give them a good spot to use it, it's very difficult to convince yourself to just shoot out the arrow, throw out the shield, and start the fight. It gives them a lot more time to react to it as well. But now Hector, once again, just kind of backdooring, is going to try running away, trying to run towards the south side. Is quite tanky. Should have the self-destruct available if it's even needed. But Hector just going to be able to back it up and will be okay. And the Diva showing why they're a tank. Now this mid lane is going to get cleared away of the neutrals. The bruiser camp is pushing slightly over to the top, but they're just going to send Zad over for that. And the rest of Roll1Esports is going to take their own bruiser camp. And it's just going to be a replay of that first shrine from what it looks like. But however, the difference is Surely We Scale this time going to be able to return the fort in their favor. So they're going to have the bot fort. And actually, they're ahead in XP somehow during all of this. This is purely just them being able to soak the map better. They're getting more value out of all these waves. And this Junkrat's able to just scout and deal so much damage over these walls. Makes it so difficult to kind of try and set up a pick play. But now Zad is going to go all the way to the back, and they have two members. They have two big members. Dragon Arrow landing over to the back, and Odin's going to come out, but the healer's already gone. Kagamine Len is gone, and now Ulysses is going to get jumped upon. Hector is trying to survive. Self-destruct is going to come out. Will be able to demech, and will be back in time. But now Velvet is still pretty healthy. It's still a 1-0, but the fight's surprisingly close. Rocky W is quite low. The bunny hop used by Hector, and Hector going to get demeched is in Baby Diva form. Dr. Evil looking for the play, but the fight's happening more on this top side, and Velvet is trying to go in. Same with Tie-Dye Tights. But it's just so difficult for them. Ulysses gonna get caught out, but will be able to jump over the wall, will survive. But the fight's definitely going towards Roll1Esports, but they're not able to get too many kills. It's just a 1-0. However, they're in a very good spot to finish off the Skeletons, 35-36. One lucky grenade, but no, Rocky W will not let that happen. But the fight is still continuing. Scattershot gonna land over the top, but the final play is going to go to Roll1Esports. They have the Arcane Punisher, and they have the push on the bot side. And also in the meanwhile, there's a Bruiser Camp and a Cannon pushing your top side. They're gonna lose a lot of health on their keep as well. Very methodical play coming out from Roll1Esports. They knew what they had to do. They knew that if they're just able to keep them away, they're winning on the top side. They just need to delay until no one else can do anything on Surely We Scale. Yeah, and with this Eternal Feast, they're just constantly dropping it on top of whoever's stuck in the Entomb. So that combo between Zad and Velvet has really been paying off, especially in the last team fight. The Entomb is going to come out. Same with the Riptire. Just going to be used for poke, but that's a lot of poke towards Kagamine Len and Tie-Dye Tights. So much damage. Now, the wall's basically gone. One more jump from the Arcane Punisher before it's cleared away. But the gate and one of the cannon towers is going to stay alive. However, it doesn't matter too much. Just, oh, wow, the grenade's actually dealing a ton of damage over towards Tie-Dye Tights. Now, Zad's shoving in towards the mid lane as well. That fort's going to be taken down too. So overall, Roll1Esports, they've managed to clear out all the forts, and this key barely stays alive. Extra are able to get there just in time. But now they're going to back away and once again go back to this bottom siege camp. They've had full control of this camp even when the map was still in a neutral state. But they're just going to be doing their chores, dotting their I's, crossing their T's. No one likes it, but they got to do it. Rocky W just going to be face checking and just walking right and looking at Tie-Dye Tights. They have the overpower and the Entomb on top, and with the Apocalypse and the Eternal Feast. That's going to be it. Can they get anything else though? Right now, it's just going to be Tie-Dye Tights that's gone. They do have a siege wave if they want to push with that. But they're running over towards mid lane instead. They may be just trying to take that top fort or that top keep since it's so low. Hector's trying to delay it a bit, going to de-heal everyone else. But they know that without Tie-Dye Tights, they are lacking a little bit on the DPS front. And especially since it isn't the scatter shot build, there isn't any percent HP coming out from the Hanzo, coming out from Ulysses. So it's going to be a lot less DPS against the tanks. I'm guessing the logic behind taking this build is that you have the Tychus, so you already have someone to kill the front line, and they just want a little bit of extra burst on the back line to help bring down Velvet and Juaniba. Because those two, if you can catch them, they go down quite easily. But you just need that burst when you do manage to land a stun onto them. Now the Bruiser Camp still pushing out on the top side. They have a Siege Camp doing a little bit of damage towards the mid lane, but now they might be looking for the fight. Bunny Hop going to be happening in the backline, but look what's happening with the Entomb and the Eternal Feast. Once again, on to 3 members. Tie-Dye Tights still alive, though. Stay a while and listen. Lands on memes, but now the self-destruct might be hitting basically everyone, but no, just going to hit Juaniba and Zad. Hector is back in mech form, but that's a 1-0. And level 20s are now available. They have the Shadow Charger onto Hector. Hector trying to stay alive, is trying to back away, but the Shadow Waltz and the autos going to be more than enough. Chomp, not going to land, but Hector going to get hit with the teleport, and that's going to be another 2-0 for Roll1Esports. And they have the push going in the bot side. They have the push going on in mid, and Ulysses going to be low. Zad looking for the play, but just going to run towards the keep instead. And I like that Roll1Esports are not going back for the objective. They have a very good position right now. They have all the waves they could ever ask for, so the bottom keep is going to be theirs as well. They could try to end with the level 20s, but with memes being back very soon, they don't want to risk it. Now they can go back for the safe objective, and it's a mid lane Punisher, and that's the mid lane keep that's still alive. So with this, they could take down all of the structures from Surely We Scale, and things are looking pretty good for Roll1Esports. Now, Surely We Scale, they have been very good at not falling too far behind in terms of XP. So while they definitely will have to give up this Punisher, they should be able to collect their level 20s before the next team fight. It's going to be a little bit close, but since they're able to kill the skeletons pretty quickly, but luckily there's still a timer that they spawn on, and that'll definitely buy some time for Surely We Scale. And this is the last time we can say, surely they do scale. Level 20 now hit. They have their Storm talents. So it's really going to depend on how much can they do with them. And they're holding on to 39 skeletons for now, just trying to take all of the different camps as well and prevent any kind of extra defense coming out from Surely We Scale. Now Rock your W, just going to walk forward, auto the final skeleton, and they will start their push. They're also going to have that second siege camp coming in as well. The first one already gotten cleared away. Surely We Scale did manage to play up a little bit, so at least they can lower the amount of push coming through, but I still think it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to hold on to this keep. With all the final talents coming through right now, Odin going to get utilized basically immediately. And probably just for the safety and for the big red button to clear away this guy as fast as possible. Now the Riptire coming through the backline, going to get destroyed. Blessed Shield lands on the back as well. But now Ulysses gonna get taken down decently low just by Zad. And with a Punisher, with the siege camp, they have more than enough damage to take out this final keep. Now the Punisher's almost gone. Apocalypse lands onto the backline. Eternal Feast into the Entomb. Tie-Dye Tights is going to be able to get away. But now Ector's in the middle of the team. They are going to use their Bunny Hop, but immediately going to self-destruct with Dragon Arrow. And that's just going to help zone away, but the Punisher is gone. All 5 members on both teams. All the ultimate left is Stay a While and Listen. So Juaniba is the one with the big button. But now the Iron Skin is going to come out in time, and they're able to get the Condemn onto so many players, but is there any damage to follow up? And that's kind of where the issue's been happening. Ector just trying to zone away, but there's so many cannons now. Just wailing away. Now the teleport comes out, and they're able to stun onto 2. Stay a While and Listen comes out as well, and they're able to get it onto the Healer Concussion Mine. Going to pull Kagami and Len in the backline as well. 3-0 now for Roll1Esports, and they should be able to just walk it in, finish off the core. But can they take anyone else? Pad their KDAs. The Entomb lands onto Ulysses. Ector goes into Baby Diva form. Ulysses is gone. Concussion Mine going to knock Ector right back into Dr. Evil, but unfortunately, they will just end the core and win game number 1. Very good game coming out from Roll1Esports. It was pretty back and forth for the first little while, but once they got that lead, they were able to hold on to it. And I gotta say, it's been wonderful seeing that from like most NGS teams and across most divisions. Once a team gets a lead, they've gotten so much better at playing safe and just holding on to it. And I'm really excited to see how the other teams are going to start reacting, because this is something you have to learn to beat eventually. So with that, we're going to go to a short break, but when we come back, it's going to be game number 2 between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. Don't go anywhere.
Cursed Hollow.
And we are back to map number 2. It is Cursed Hollow between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. Now it is a 1-0 for Roll1Esports so far, but this is a bigger map. It's a very different map in terms of how it's played. It has 2 bosses on it, as well as the curse needing 3 tributes before it activates. So gonna be interesting to see how this affects the draft, how this affects the overall strategies coming out from both these 2 teams. Now, Roll1Esports, it was a pretty close game for the most part, especially early on. Hector especially was able to get a lot of soak for their team to just kind of keep them even on XP, but I do think they had a little bit of difficulty getting onto the backline and dealing enough DPS to be able to get that win. But now, Falstad going to be the first ban once again from Roll1Esports. Seems they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to play into it. They're just going to remove it. A new Barak is going to get removed as well. So same bans so far coming out from both these 2 teams. And I'm interested to see if anything else is going to change for it. One thing I will say that I think is pretty interesting is that I'm seeing a lot less Hoggers getting picked up from both these teams. It used to be basically always Hogger, Dehaka, Leoric. And now we have Leoric, Dehaka, and sometimes D.Va, which does have a pretty good change, I'll be completely honest. I love watching D.Va. And with Dehaka getting banned away, same with the Junkrat, we're not going to be seeing either of those heroes this time around. So with the Junkrat banned, there will be at least 1 hero changed. And it is going to be Vala locked in for Dr. Evil, who was actually the one piloting the Junkrat last game. So with Vala, it doesn't really show too much in terms of strategy. There are a couple of counters, but the 2 blondes, Anduin and Chromie, going to get locked in for Kagamine Len and Tie-Dye Tights. I don't know why I was bringing up that they're blonde, but I just think it's really funny because like such a big part of their character design. And it's usually paired with their Joanna. It just pairs naturally with Joanna as well, so always funny to me. I could not explain why. But regardless, it's going to be 2 more picks coming out soon. And the Stukov wasn't banned, with the Dehaka getting banned instead. So Waniba going to be able to play that and the Garrosh for Rock Your W. Very aptly named for this tank. So tank healer combo already selected for Roll1Esports. So the side of Shirley Wisco probably going to look to ban an offlaner. That's what I would suspect. And they could try banning with the Leoric. Zad actually had a lot of very good plays on that hero last game. I don't know if it's... And with the Stukov, it would be a pretty solid combo once again. But they're going to ban away the Zeratul instead. They banned it in game number 1. And it does seem like it's something targeted then, because this is a very different team comp so far coming out from Roll1Esports. But the Zeratul is going to be banned away regardless. It could be either Velvet or Zad, because that is the flex and the offlaner. Either of those two positions realistically could know how to play the Zeratul, so very interesting bans coming out here. Now final one coming out from Roll1Esports. It's going to be the Mephisto. That's interesting. I actually haven't been seeing that much Mephisto picked. I think I've probably seen it banned more than it's been picked, but most of the time it's just kind of been going through the entire draft. And I'm a little bit surprised about that, because Chromie is one of the few mages that can kind of be your frontline DPS. But I still think it'd be a bit of a struggle playing Chromie and Mephisto on the same team. Now Extra gonna go on the Sonya and Muradin for memes. So we saw this combo in our last series. And the Dwarf Toss Light Bomb combo into the leap. It works wonders. And especially if it's not the slowing stance, but actually the temporal loop, you can basically guarantee a jump onto at least one of them. Now Uther gonna be locked in for Velvet, so it's gonna be a double heal. And the Vikings for Zed. Okay. Roll1Esports pulling out some very interesting strats. Double healer and the Viking. And Uther's one of those healers that is somewhat of a frontliner as well. Can be played as a main tank, not quite as well as a lot of the other tanks. But with double healer especially, Uther can stand with anyone. I'm curious exactly what their strategy is going to be, or if this is just like, we are chaos, we are going to win anyway. As Ulysses also going to go with the Hogger. Now, typically, Hector has played in the offlane, so I wonder if that's going to be it could be Ulysses playing the 4-squad Hogger, kind of like Amelia Assassin, or it could be a 1-3-1 strategy coming out for Shirley We Scale. Both of those are definitely possible, and very interesting drafts from both these two teams. I can't read too much into it. I'm a play-by-play. I am not a good analyst. So we're just going to have to wait and see in game number 2. And hello, we are here. We are on Cursed Hollow, and it is map number 2 between Shirley We Scale and Roll1Esports. Roll1Esports, if they win this, they get the domination for themselves. And with this team composition, I definitely cannot analyze this for you. It's the Lost Vikings double healer combo coming out from Roll1Esports. On the side of Shirley We Scale, it's going to be a Hogger and a Sonya on the same team. So it's still not quite triple bruiser. I remember that was a strategy for a very long time, and I do still see it on occasion.
3, 2, 1.
But it's going to be interesting. Like, I genuinely have no idea what to expect from either of these two teams. And interestingly enough, Roll1Esports are going to be running through the bot lane. And it's just going to be memes here. I'm kind of watching them because they're doing the interesting play. And it is going to be the Creed of the Hunter build coming out from Dr. Evil 12. And with the double healer, they can kind of just stay here. But they have full members. They have the Storm Hammer. And now Juanito is going to get thrown to the backline, but just not enough damage. So close. And even with the double healer, not able to get that kill. Rock your W, able to save them with into the fray. And without that, Juanito definitely would be first blood going over to Shirley Scale, but did survive in the end. Now they have Ulysses playing over the top side. Zad just going to be matching it with one of the Vikings. Hector grouping up towards mid. And Vikings are very difficult to play. And actually they have the time stop onto memes, but memes will be okay. Is the tank. Has a lot of HP even if they are stuck to 1/3. And will be able to heal back up with the trait. But it's going to be Ulysses going towards the siege camp. And no one's really taking camps yet from Roll1Esports. So if they don't lose too much from this push, and right now they might be, Memes able to just jump backwards though into the lurking arm. and is also going to take that extra little health orb. They've lost the bottom cannon tower, but they're still up, they're still alive, and they're still going to be okay for a little bit. But as I was saying, with the Vikings, it's very easy to kind of lose control of some of them and give away a couple little kills here and there. It doesn't make too much difference per kill, but over time it adds up. Now Rock2W gonna get hit with the stun. Chastise lands as well, but no follow-up with the Stormhammer already used. And Dr. Evil is just going to be wailing onto this cannon tower once again. So they're going to be able to take down most of this wall already. Now Memes looking for the play. They do have the Chastise follow-up as well. Dragon's Breath over to the back line. But the healing is going to come out with the double healer. It's so hard to burst anyone, especially the Garrosh, who has the bonus armor and kind of gets extra value from heals. Now Ector actually getting taken down decently low by Zad. I always forget their names. I know Olaf's the big one. I think the red one's Eric. And I forget the one that died. But actually traded 1-for-1. What? I'm sorry, but Ector goes down in that play as well. Now the Siege Camp is going to get picked up by Roll1Esports. But I was not expecting the trade towards Ector. As the Vikings player, you definitely take that. That's first blood for Roll1Esports. And now Memes is looking for a play from the side, but it is 3v4 from the spot side. So it would be difficult to play too aggressively. And they also no longer have the extra help from these cannon towers. Now Rock2W looking for the Wrecking Ball, but no one there to grab. 19 stacks currently on Creed of the Hunter, 16 for Wave of Light. But that's definitely going to be coming through. And now Memes gonna get tossed in the backline, gonna get hit by the Groundbreaker and the Hammer of Justice. Memes just still alive, trying to back away, and will be able to get away just in time. Chastise lands as well, and Velvet actually taken down quite low. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, Ulysses able to take down Olaf, and is actually pushing through into the fort as well. And now an extra kill on the top side for Ector. Not gonna be traded back this time, just Zad versus Ector. But the push is happening in the bot side. It's happening in the mid lane. But this is where, if any action's happening, it's happening on the spot side. Now they have the extra time. They have the Chastise onto Dr. Evil. They're able to defend it for now. And with this Bruiser camp, Ulysses is dealing so much damage to this mid lane fort. And they have to go back and deal with it. The Dynamite's going to get tossed down as well. I don't know if these minions will be able to finish it off. It's going to be close. And yes, they will. So the very first fort is going in favor of Surely We Scale. Well defended by the side of Surely We Scale once again. And Ector also getting the push in on the top side. That's given them a half-level lead already. And also, they managed to take the first tribute. There's too much to look at the map. I was going to end up missing something. And now they're grouping over towards the Bruiser camp. So Roll1Esports is going to finally take away this camp. But because of that, they're going to be able to get pressure over onto this bot side wall. And it's just going to be, I believe this one's Eric. And now they're going to be able to get the Stormhammer stun onto Zad. And Zad's just going to go down. Poor little Eric. Does not have a lot of HP. They've already finished off the wall. And they are starting onto the fort. Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit of poke, making sure that the waves are shoved in. And it's going to prevent the side of Roll1Esports from really getting any soak. But now Memes going to be getting thrown back. No longer has a jump. But the Groundbreaker not going to land. Memes still gets taken down quite low. Will have that trait to heal back up with a little bit. Ector also going to be grouping and spinning to winning over in this mid lane. Going to get interrupted with a Groundbreaker. And now Tie-Dye Tights is grouping up with the team. But because it's a Bruiser camp, it does get a little bit more difficult. Because this Bruiser camp is going to give that magic defense over towards everyone. But the Dragon's Breath still very powerful tool. Dr. Evil barely dodging away on that Stormhammer. But we'll be okay for now. Now it is going to be the Slowing Sands coming out from Tie-Dye Tights. And now the Chastise lands, and they're going to throw Memes back, but Rocker W is also getting taken down quite low. Is going to get cleansed away. Dr. Evil also low, as Balog and Olaf get taken down. Ector 1v2ing the Vikings. And now this bottom fort is also looking pretty bad, and the third tribute is spawning with 2 of the Vikings dead. Now they should be able to respawn in time, and the level 10 advantage also on Surely We Scale, and Zad is going to get seen. Memes actually goes a little bit too deep. Groundbreaker going to be there as well. Kagamine Land going to use the Leap of Faith. Memes going to get rescued a little bit there. But now the fight for the tribute is happening. Dr. Evil is looking towards it. Not going to be able to cancel it in time. The leap going to come onto the backline. And now they're onto everyone. Ulysses just chasing onto Dr. Evil too. Going to hit the staggering blow to push them away. Now iRockUW is starting to get focused down, and there's no healers nearby. There's a double healer composition, but if they can't reach, they cannot heal you. And that's going to be 1 kill and the curse going over to Surely We Scale. And they had a little bit of a rougher game in game number 1. But with this game number 2, they finally scaled into it. They are level 11. Level 10s are about to get hit by Roll1Esports. But now they're pushing out into this mid lane. And with Dragon's Breath, they're going to be able to clear it out pretty fast. Memes is also going to be here just kind of hitting onto the front line, hitting onto these minions. And they should be able to get some decent value. Now Memes going to get thrown to the back line. Is going to be in the lurking arm, and the taunt and the time trap as well. Can they keep him alive? Memes will get burst down in the end. So it's a 1-0, and it's going to put a stop to this push, at least in the mid lane. But Ulysses able to get the entire wall in the bot lane. Hector finishing off the fort in the top lane. Getting 1 kill back, it does mean something. But Surely We Scale is still at a very massive advantage, about a level and a half lead. Though a lot of that's going to close down once that XP is going to get collected by Roll1Esports. And now they're just going to go back and clear away their camps instead. Now they have the first siege camp. They don't have level 13s quite yet. They do have the level 13 talent. Timeout coming out from Tie-Dye Tights. A little bit extra defensive ability. The Bruiser camp and the boss are both available, but it looks like they might be looking towards the boss. But Roll1Esports wants to defend against it. Now Memes does see them. Was spotted out. But they're just going to back up, grab the Bruiser camp, and now they can start playing slowly. Because Roll1Esports, they can't take the Bruiser camp themselves. But with the advantage of having the Vikings, they are going to be triple soaking during all of this. And now the fight is going to be breaking out here. Meme's going to get thrown into the backline. Avatar going to get popped immediately. Time trap, but the leap lands on a 3 in the backline. But can they follow up? They have the light bomb as well. And they're going to be able to get onto 2. The swipe's not going to be enough. Honiba going to go down. Oh no, Honiba is actually going to survive for now. But it is going to be the Uther God. Now Rock Your W is starting to get quite low. And again, no healers are available. Rock Your W going to get finished off. Honiba still trying to run away. Well, a couple more autos, and the Dragon's Breath will finish it off. Now Zad trying to get away with the little Vikings, and it's just going to be Baylog running away, telling the story of how Surely We Scale won the team fight. But looks like even Baylog won't be able to do that, as finally all 3 Vikings are going to go down. A total of 3-0, and they have a wave to take this mid lane keep. Huge win for Surely We Scale, as they officially have a 2-level lead over Roll1Esports. Now they are still only level 14. They have the level 13 talent over, but they should be able to get the level 16 talents quite soon. And with that last team fight, with the extra pressure happening naturally in the mid lane, they could decide to just go grab this boss camp and even start contesting on the boss camp of Roll1Esports. They could just let this push in naturally. They don't have any tributes on Roll1Esports, so even if they manage to sneak this one, it's not going to do them any good. It's merely going to delay Surely We Scale just a little bit, as Meme's going to even prevent the invade here. Roll1Esports definitely trying to find something while they're on an even talent here. But Surely We Scale is not really giving them anything. And in fact, they may be looking to give them a fight now. It is an even talent here. And Rock Your W might be a little bit stuck. The leap gonna get utilized. Light bomb as well. Unstoppable used, but it doesn't matter when you're alone. The Garrosh is going to go down. Rock Your W will be getting finished off. And now they can push with this boss without the fear of Garrosh. And this could help them play more aggressively. They don't have 2 of their big teamfight cooldowns. But with the extra numbers with the boss, they can get quite a bit here. Ulysses even just positioning forward. Hammer of Justice going to land, but it's not going to do too much. And now they have the Horde Bolt coming through. Dr. Evil going to get stunned into the wall, but no follow-up. And now Hogwild got to be coming through as well. Chastise lands into the backline. And with the Dynamite, Velvet actually getting taken down quite low. But the boss is still very healthy. And on the core, they may be looking to end here. They will get some permanent damage. And now Rocky W is standing in the front. Velvet going to get burst, but not finished off. And now the Hogwild happening in the backside. The Dragon's Breath as well. And the extra storm from the boss. They could still look to end. It's going to be difficult. It's at 50%. But the boss is going to be finished off. But now Zad going to take so much damage from the backline. And the Light Bomb lands onto 2 of the Vikings, and Rock Your W going to get finished off as well. And Velvet just trying to survive, but no, not enough HP. That'll be it. Game 2 goes to Surely We Scale, and we're going to a game number 3. And Surely We Scaled. Definitely scaled up for game number 2. There's not going to be any dominations happening once again in this set. And that's what I love to see. I love game threes. Those are my absolute favorite thing to watch. And since both these two teams had pretty clean victories against each other, it just goes to show that the early game is so important right now with the way all the teams, in all of NGS, I'll even say, are currently playing. Now we're going to go to a short break, but before we do, one last shout out for the, well, second to last shout out for the day for Match Masters, the sponsor of today's stream. Match Masters is a competitive 3v3 or competitive 1v1 match 3 puzzle game. A lot of numbers there. Download for free today. Hit the goals you see on the widget to help support the stream. Now we're going to go to a short break, but when we come back, we're going to have the deciding match, game number 3. So don't go anywhere. All right, and here we are for the third and final draft between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. That's going to be an interesting one. It is Tomb of the Spider Queen, a much smaller map than usual. We have had two pretty big maps, and this time we're going to be going over to the spiders. Now, Tomb of the Spider Queen has definitely been a very popular map so far this season. And like I said last night, I don't even know, the days are blurring together, but it's a map that's never banned but almost always picked, which I still think is pretty funny. But now Vala going to be banned away as the first ban. Dr. Evil going to have to play something else. Junkrat is still currently available, so still could be possible that it's something else as well. But now Rock here W still thinking of their next ban. And it is pretty curious. The Anubrak is what Surely We Scale have been banning so far, but they do have first pick this time. So I wonder if that's going to change anything for them. Chromie's going to be the ban. So Tie-Dye Tights not going to be able to play that again. And that Chromie dealt a lot of damage and was just an absolute pain to play against. So not surprising to see it removed. The slowing scents were extremely powerful in that last game. Especially with once the curse happened, the siege just was so powerful coming out from that Chromie. But they're going to ban the Stukov second from Surely We Scale. So Anubrak is left open this time. They banned it away in games 1 and 2 in the first phase, but this time around they decided it's not worth banning. Now maybe it's because it's a smaller map, maybe there's some specific reason, or maybe they're going to first pick it. I don't know if it's something that they really prioritize for themselves, or if it's just something they wanted to remove from Roll1Esports, but Anubrak is available. Anduin gonna get banned as well, so this means Junkrat as well is available for Tomb of the Spider Queen, and Ulysses going to grab it immediately. I thought it was going to be the Junkrat ban there, so I'm a little bit surprised about that, but the Light Bomb definitely caused a lot of issues, and the Chastises were constantly landed by Kagamine Len. So not surprising to see them get rid of both of those heroes. But the Junkrat's very powerful on this map as well. I mean, Junkrat overall as a hero, super annoying to deal with and is very powerful. But they didn't ban it, so the Anubrak gonna get locked in for Rocker W. That's gonna be Thrall locked in for Velvet, and specifically Velvet. So this is more likely to be a melee assassin kind of Thrall rather than the offlane Thrall. And I think that does make a lot of sense. Thrall deals a ton of damage, but isn't quite as good in offlane situations. The push is a little bit slow, same with the double soak, and Thrall much prefers brawling. But now Blaze and Diablo locked in for Hector and Memes, so 2 beefcakes for Surely We Scale. And that's an interesting pick as well into the Anubrak Thrall, because Thrall is pretty squishy and kind of struggles facing off against Blaze or Diablo, because surely if it's a one-on-one, eventually the Thrall will win. But more often than not, it's not going to be a one-on-one, and the damage is going to hit Velvet much faster than it's going to hit Memes and Nectar. But Thrall, as usual, has the super powerful teamfight abilities, whether it's the Earthquake or the Sundering. The level 10 is so valuable. Now Whitemane going to be the final ban from Roll1Esports. Just trying to kind of keep pushing the healer pool all the way down. Neither side has picked their healer yet, and there have been 3 bans. And Leoric is going to be the final ban for Surely We Scale. Zad played a fantastic Leoric in game number 1. And I do think it was a big part of why they won. I don't think it was the only reason, obviously. I think Roll1Esports played extremely well as a team overall. But it was definitely one of the big pain points, so glad to see that gone. But Tassadar and Tyrande, so very different team composition coming out from Roll1Esports. A lot of magic damage, at least from the Tassadar, is going to be coming out. And then the Tyrande will be able to follow up on some stuns. So it's a pretty interesting team composition because Anubrak has very low cooldown stuns, especially for tanks. And Thrall and Tyrande can both follow up on them. So if you're able to get one stun, you can get a lot. And Uther and Hanzo going to be the final 2 picks for Surely We Scale. And I really like the Uther pick. I wanted someone who has a cleanse, but because of the nature of the lockdown, you don't need the Brightwing or the AoE cleanse. You just need one strong cleanse. And Uther definitely provides that. Now the final pick is going to be coming out from Roll1Esports. It is most likely going to be their off lane. And somehow Dahaka goes all the way to 10th pick. Not something you see often, but it is a smaller map, so Dahaka has a little bit less value here. But even so, very powerful in team fights, very powerful for just shoving out lanes as quickly as possible. Pretty even draft, I'd say. Once again, it's really just going to come down to the early game between these two teams. Whoever has won the early game has seemed to win the entire game. Well, let's get ready as we head to game number 3. All right, and we are here. We're in game number 3. Tomb of the Spider Queen between Surely We Scale and Roll1Esports. Winner gets 2 more points for their NGS season. Now it's going to be very entertaining to see just how these two teams go at it. And we've seen in game 1 and game 2, whoever wins the early game can push all the way through. Both of these two teams are very clean at snowballing their little victories. But on a smaller map like this, and especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's even easier to snowball. Because if you can gain control of this mid lane area, specifically this one, you will always be able to turn in the gems. The downside is sometimes it takes a while to get those gems once you start getting closer to the late game. Now Scattershot immediately going to get two hits. So there's going to be that extra little bit of DPS. The town's going to grow a lot fast. Now they have the stun onto Rock Your W. Going to be able to run away with the Burrow Charge. Now Extra gonna get hit as well. And the drag. Zad able to pull them back. The Impale lands as well. But it is Extra. And Extra is quite tanky. So they will be okay for now. Dr. Evil gonna be using the Shocker. But now Velvet gets hit as well. And Concussion Mine will take Velvet right back. But they will be able to just run away. But now they have the extra stuns. And Rock Your W has already used the Burrow Charge. But with the Impale will be able to come back. As Zad pulls back Ector, but Ector kind of winning the trade for now. Zad able to heal back up. Oh, and Ector will actually be able to snipe away the extra healing orb. I shouldn't be looking too much into the offlane, though, because most of the action's going to happen over here. The Concussion Mine just going to knock Velvet back. And they able to get the Hammer of Judgment? What is this again? Yeah, Hammer of Justice over onto Rock Your W. So they will have to back away, but they do get the push first. And Dr. Evil's already coming over to this mid lane to help with that. Now the Jet Propulsion not going to land, but Velvet going to take a bunch of scatter shots. I'm sorry, it's 1.5 minutes and the quest is basically done. Can we just appreciate that for a little bit? Because that's not something that happens often. But now Tie-Dye Tights is going to be pushing it away as both teams are on their bruiser camps. Now it looks like Kagamine Len and Ulysses going to be slightly faster, or never mind, because it is 3-on-2. They started earlier, but will take a little bit longer. And now the red side bruiser camp is done. Same with the blue side. Going to be within a couple seconds of each other. And now we can move on. The bot lane is going to get shoved in. And this is where the siege camp is. And it looks like Tie-Dye Tights is immediately going to run towards it. But will get scouted out by the Tyrande. Now the main push is definitely going to be favoring Roll1Esports. They have 2 extra members over here in the mid lane. They're going to absolutely shred through this bruiser camp. And they can just start sieging onto this mid lane tower. They have a lot of power here. They have a lot of push. And there's not a lot of wave clear. Ulysses gonna join in now, but is a little bit on the wrong side of it. Gonna use the Concussion Mine to get into a better angle. And we'll be able to clear a little bit better here, but it's taking a little bit long. So this entire wall is going to get finished off by the bruiser camp. Well played by Roll1Esports. But now the Jet Propulsion does land onto Dr. Evil. The Scatter Arrow is now finished, but with the Force Wall going to prevent them from continuing on. But that's an incredibly early Scatter Shot talent finished off at 2.5 minutes, sitting at 19 and 1.5 minutes too. But now there's going to be a turn-in coming in from Ector, so it's 18-12 in terms of gems. As Ulysses is also trying to get it for their team. Now Rock Your W not going to get knocked back by the team. But the concussion mine is there. It's been pinged out, but the burrow strike lands onto 3, and the impale and the lunar flare. Just so much damage. Ulysses is going to go down first, and that's the play I was talking about. Because Roll1Esports, they don't have a lot of big AoE stuns or anything like that. But if you're able to land onto one person, you can chain stun them forever. And that time they landed it onto 3. Now roll your W gonna get canceled at the very last second, so won't be able to get any extra turn in. But that is still able to get themselves a kill, able to get rid of a little bit of the gems. Though Ulysses probably didn't have too much. Typically the backliners don't. And they're going to continue preventing the side of Roll1Esports from turning in. Now over this bot lane, we still have Hector fighting against Zad and Rocker W trying to get turn in as well. Blaze is really good at preventing it at the same time. But now Velvet is running forward. Kagami going to get the stun. Hammer of Justice. Do they have any follow-up? It doesn't seem like they do. But now Rocky W looking for the follow-up. Able to get the impale. Not going to follow up with a burrow charge. And it's just going to stay even. Both teams now at level 7. So we're starting to get the extra talents coming in. And Tie-Dye Tights is just going to be auto-attacking onto Rocky W, but Juaniba is already here for the heals. Now Hammer of Justice going to be hit. Shadow Charge into the wall, but with the Lunar Flare, they're going to be okay. Concussion Mine just going to knock Rocky W further back as both teams, as teams anyway, have enough to get the full turn in. But who's going to be able to win this pressure out first? Dr. Evil going to be taking a bit of poke, but they have the dogs on the Tie-Dye Tights, and that's all that's needed. Staying alive for now, and actually able to back away. Hector there in time with the jet propulsion. And now they have the stasis going on to R1Z, but they don't have any other follow-up. But R1Z going to get hit into the back line. They have the Shadow Charge as well. Do they have any follow-up? They do have the jet propulsion, but neither of these two teams is really able to DPS on the other. There's so much healing. There's so much shielding coming out. So both sides just going to walk away from it as Hector just starts clearing away this backline. And the turn-ins, once again, going to be the next event. There is now 25 gems total for Surely We Scale. But they haven't been able to get anything else. But now they have the Shadow Charge. They have the Hand of Justice on Velvet. But Kagami Led is the one that's caught out. And Jet Propulsion comes out once again just in time. Hector on the rotation. And with the concussion line, able to push them away. And they could start turning in, but Rocky W going to try and prevent it. Concussion mine is still there. Hector will turn in 16, so they only need 9 more. However, during this moment, Zad has managed to turn in, but now they have the extra stun. Jet Propulsion lands onto 2. Rocky W trying to walk backwards. The concussion mine is going to be enough damage to finish it off. Now Velvet is alone, but everyone is low on the side of Surely We Scale, so it's hard to walk forward. But now the Chakra over top, but its memes looks low, but it's still sitting at over 600 HP. And just like that, neither side's been able to finish their turn-ins, but the fight did go for Surely We Scale. They got 2 kills for none. Zad going to take the siege camp over on the bot side as both sides are getting pretty close to level 10. And they will, and Ulysses will be able to get the final bit of turn-in for the blue web weavers. Now, how much can they get with this? Most of the walls are pretty healthy still, as we look in the wave. So that's probably just what they're going to be aiming for. Level 10's not quite there for Surely We Scale. Now going to take over. And all the souls have also been collected. So Memes could play a little bit more aggressive. They do have the stun over onto Ulysses, but is okay for now. Now they're going to be pushing together in the mid lane. The top lane Web Weaver going to get cleared away very quickly. But this is where the real push is going to be coming out. They have the damage. They have the positioning too, so they should be able to, at the very least, secure themselves this wall. And this wall is definitely going to go down quite easily, actually. Took less time than I expected. And now the Dragon Arrow going to go up. It's going to hit 2. Now they have the Apocalypse as well, but the Black Hole going to prevent any of the extra follow-up. Dr. Evil, well-timed. So it's going to get cleared away. Top side didn't take any damage at all. Bot side got a little bit of damage on the wall, but now the Brush Stalker coming out from Zad. Ulysses and Hector are both together up top. Hector might be on the wrong side, but definitely not the point. But now they have the D-Shield coming out for Kagami Len. Memes is still alive, still healthy, and able to use the Shadow Charge on the Rocky W. Now Riptide going to knock them even further back, and they're just body blocked. Burrow Charge comes off cooldown in time, and the Earthquake makes it so hard to follow. But the Chakra just stealing DPS over the backline. And once again, big team fight. Lots of abilities, but no one goes down. Zad, however, will take this opportunity to turn in another 14 gems, just 5 more needed from Roll1Esports, and Velvet is sitting on 44. They're going to try and stop it. They have the scout. Do they have the DPS? Yes, just barely in time. So they'll be able to delay these red web weavers from coming out. They'll be able to keep pushing back, can fix their waves, and potentially even take down Velvet and steal all of those gems. But at this point, basically anyone can just walk in. Velvet going to try once again. Kagamine line already scouting it. And on this top side, Ulysses might be getting a little bit caught out. The shock ray is going to land. Now Zad looking towards Ector. Not going to land the drag. Just so much fighting on both sides of this map. I need another camera just so I can get all this action going at the exact same time. But it's going to slow down for a little bit. Ector just going to group up with the team in the mid lane and clear this wave. But Zad should be able to get the turn in, but Ector once again just there in time, just slowly but surely preventing the turn in, and eventually it will make the difference as both teams now technically have enough for turn in. So if Surely We Scale can get a big fight, they could try and get another set of web weavers for themselves now. And it definitely seems like both these teams are looking for it. It's a dragon arrow, not going to land. Apocalypse won't land either. Black hole also gonna go wide. All the teams showing just kind of threatening each other. A little bit of a cold war going on. They're saying this could have hit if we wanted to, but it didn't. So now we're just gonna wait for the next set of cooldowns, and after that, that's when we're all gonna group together. And the cold war really is starting between these two teams. But the red web weavers did spawn. I believe it was Zad. Hard to tell at this point. Anyone could have gone in, but a Rocker W walks forward. Gets the Impale on a 2. Does not land the burrow charge though. Now Ector is trying to group and clear away this bot side. Zad going to be able to cancel the jet propulsion with a drag. But now with no major cooldowns, they have the Hammer of Justice and the Shadow Charge as well. But so much damage going onto this fort. They should be able to clear this out. Tie-Dye Tides trying to do wonders with the I forget what this ability's called again. The Stormbow, but not going to land in time. Ulysses able to jump away in time with the concussion mine. But the mid lane fort is going to stay alive for now. It just needs one more shockwave from Dr. Evil, so I can't imagine it'll stay alive for too much longer. And the web weavers are gone, and once again, both teams do have enough gems for another turn-in. And Roll1Esports, they look like they want to immediately go for it. Just between Velvet and Dr. Evil, they will have enough. 48 gonna go through, and another 26. Round 2, here we go. Roll1Esports managed to get the mid lane fort, but now Zad is on the back line. Could look for a play. The dragon not going to land onto Ector. Sidestep perfectly. But they could look to finish off this bot lane fort. This top lane wall is already gone, so they could start pressuring on that as well. So Surely We Scale going to have to defend pretty well here. Ector looking for a play off to the side. They do have all the abilities landing. The Apocalypse not going to be there in time. And with the Bro Charge, just going to be able to leave. The bunker does come out, trying to keep them alive. But Zad is in the back lane and on to Kagamine land. But now Ector getting quite low and will get blown up. Memes is still alive and just trying to walk away, trying to collect some of the gems back. But Memes is also at 47 and gonna get hit with the Burrow Charge. Trying to heal up with a Fire Stomp, and with the healing will be okay for now. Another Impale lands, but between Kagamine land and between the Fire Stomp, Memes is going to be okay, but the same cannot be said for the bottom fort. The same cannot be said for the top lane fort. The same cannot be said for the mid lane wall. They saved a couple of their gems, but at what cost? Just taking down Ector, losing the offlaner on this map, always has such big impact. Now the bird charge is going to come through over to the top. They do have the concussion mine throwing Rocky W back, but it's going to be Memes that gets blown up instead. We'll be back with the souls, but once again, that's a lot of gems that have been lost during all of this. Now they have lost their bot lane wall. In fact, that web weaver is still alive. They lost their mid lane wall. Top lane wall is still healthy, but we talked about winning the early game mattering a lot, and I think with that play, Roll1Esports has definitely won the early to mid game. Now Rocky W is scouting to make sure that no one can turn in, and that kind of removes the counterplay opportunity for Surely We Scale. The Bruiser Camp is going to get finished off by them, and now Surely We Scale surely going to try and go for their own Bruiser Camp. Now they're definitely taking their time. I think they're worried about a possible invade, but it isn't coming. It's going to get scouted out now. Not going to land onto anyone, but they need this Bruiser Camp ASAP because the entire team of Roll1Esports is slowly but surely coming over. However, it doesn't look like they have any interest in this at all. This Bruiser Camp is going to get traded. Level 16s on both sides. So the talent, the level of disparity isn't that big. The main issue is how fast can they push? How can they keep their waves in a state where they can keep defending onto these turn-in points, onto these spider altars? And right now, it seems like they're just bringing everything in towards the mid lane and playing it from there. 110 gems currently sitting on the members of Surely We Scale. Ulysses holding on to 48 of those. That on its own is almost enough for turning. But now, Rock Your W going to prevent Kagamine Len from turning in. But some of it will still come in from Ector. So if they can get Ulysses onto an altar, they can get their web weaver spawning. A little bit of a catch onto Zad, but we'll go into stasis and we'll be okay. And now both teams once again have enough gems for turn-in. Dr. Eva turning in 25, and they just need the final ones from Rock Your W, and they will be able to successfully get those in because the siege camp is pulling them bot lane. There's only so long they can sit and defend here. And now it's going to be yet another set, but if they can defend this one without losing too much, that's when they can start their counterplay because there's no gems left on Roll1Esports after this. And they still have a lot on Surely We Scale. So if they can keep their keeps alive, they could start using their time to try and get back towards those altars and maybe get a turn-in of their own. And it's all going to come down really to this. It's an even talent here. So it's not the worst spot to be in for Surely We Scale. Now Firestorm just going to be thrown out onto the backline. Rock Your W just getting poked out by Ulysses. And they're trying to take down this web weaver as soon as possible because there's no more wall here. They do have Velvet on the backline. They're able to get the stun. And look at the jet propulsion on the backline into the apocalypse. And Dr. Evil 200 HP but able to get away. No, is going to get finished off. Juaniba gonna follow. Velvet is trying to run away as well, but is going to get slowed down. Ector has the oil slick, but with the dogs will be able to run away. But in the meanwhile, Zad going to take the keep over on the top side. Ulysses trying to clear away this bot side, but also may not be fast enough. And I don't think they will be fast enough. That's going to be the bot lane keep gone as well. So despite the fight going in favor of Surely We Scale, that's still 2 keeps lost. And not only does it make it a lot harder to get the turn in, but there's also going to be less value from it because it's going to take longer for it to push out. The waves are going to be naturally further behind. So the side of Roll1Esports will be able to defend just that much better. But what they can do, however, is start on the boss. Between Ector and Tie-Dye Tights, they should have enough DPS with the fight. Maybe breaking out. Hand of Justice gonna land under Rock Your W. But they're not going to be able to get the turn in. They're just going to go for the boss. And because this fort and even wall is still available, they could definitely defend onto this. But now Zad is going to be going for the back door potentially. And they could even try to end here. But the boss is going to get finished off. The D-Shield has been thrown out. And now the Dragon Arrow is going to land onto everyone in the back line. The Riptire going to throw Dr. Evil back in. And now with the Jet Propulsion lands perfectly. Just needs a little bit more damage. And Juaniba survives with 30 HP. Dr. Evil with like 100. But Rock Your W is still on the back line. They're still fighting it back. And somehow no one goes down. Surely We Scale. If they just had a little bit more damage, they would have been able to get it. Literally just one more auto from anyone. That is so sad. But Roll1Esports, they're not going to lose too much from this. They will lose the boss. But they're just going to lose their top lane wall. I don't even think they're going to lose their fort. And the base is in shambles right now by Surely We Scale. They're getting pushed back really hard. They weren't able to get the turn in. They're going to try and force for it here now. But Velvet's ready to cancel it. Same with Rock Your W. And the rest of the squad going to group up here now as well. So getting any bit of turn in would help so much. They just need Ulysses to be able to sneak in. But it has to be Ulysses holding on to most of the gems. They could do a combo with Tie-Dye Tights as well, but now is that in the backline, but not going to throw out the drag. And this is just so hard to play at this point. Level 20s now on both teams. Could be an opportunity for them to try and get a big fight because the death timers are long now. If they can get a quick team fight victory, they could continue playing from there. But everything's definitely going in favor of Roll1Esports right now. The Sonic Arrow stun is going to be level 20 talent coming out from Tie-Dye Tights. But with this Bruiser Camp, they're going to start shoving in the mid lane. They just need a little bit more damage on this keep, and it's theirs. The only saving grace right now for Surely We Scale is they have the time to play slow. They have the time to look for the right team fight. Only 28 gems right now onto Roll1Esports, with 22 of them just getting turned in. And there's no boss for 3 minutes, so there aren't any major objectives for them to get. So Surely We Scale could take their time. They could start looking for a play. And if they're able to get a turn in and get enough pressure with it, they could easily get a second one right after. And now a couple of their members almost having enough for the turn in, but now Meme's going to get stunned up. But now Rocky W going to get hit to the back line, but the cocoon. And Memes is just starting to get so low, but we'll have the D shield. And with the apocalypse, with the stuns, Velvet's going to get stunned into the wall and will go down. Memes is still alive. Firestomp's going to be healing them up, but the damage from the shock ray is going to be enough. And the heal last second for Rocky W. But now Extra looking on the backline. They're on to Dr. Evil, and they have the Hand of Justice. That should be an extra stun for them. A couple more autos, and they will be able to win it out. Now they could have turn in. Kagamine Land going to immediately look for it. Has enough gems. But this Bruiser camp over in the mid lane, Memes, you have to deal with it or you're going to lose your keep. And looks like Zad wants them to lose their keep anyway. Is trying to walk it in through the backline. But now in the meanwhile, over in this mid lane, Ulysses is going to be trying to push out the waves. They need to get something in their favor, and they may lose this keep anyway. The Web Weavers will be there to help, but it's so hard to push forward when everything's behind. But they do have the Hand of Justice. They do have the Jet Propulsion. Just a little bit more damage. Torniba is the only one there, but will be able to heal up, and the Scatter Shot almost enough. Torniba able to get the extra healing that they needed last second, and actually the keep survives. I thought it was going to be gone. Look at that. And now this fort going to get muscled down by Surely We Scale. They're here in time. They're going to finish it off. But Zad just in this back lane going to clear away this bot lane Web Weaver. Could try and just tank this mid lane keep if they wanted to. But now the Web Weaver on the top side still decently healthy. And they could use that to shove in and take this fort. It's still not going to even out the pressure, but it will lower it. And I think that's what they need to start looking for. Anything to help with the pressure. Now they have the push coming in. They still have the Web Weaver alive. This fort has not a lot of HP and will go down. So that's another structure in the favor of Surely We Scale. And we're starting to get later and later into the game. And now there it is. Zad going to finish off the last keep, but that keep was imaginary. It was only there in spirit. Now the kiss not going to land, as Zad is going to run all the way down and probably take the siege camp. Now, unfortunately for them, they're not going to, or for them, for Surely We Scale, they're not going to be able to get another turn in most likely. All 5 members are up. Ulysses does have enough on their own, so if they can zone away people from Ulysses, but it doesn't look like it's doable. They're keeping these points fully locked down. Now, Memes actually gets interrupted mid Shadow Shard, but Ulysses not going to get interrupted. They will get another set of Web Weavers. And that's going to be pretty big for them. Can they get anything else with this? They even have a little bit of a wave in the mid lane, but it's a little bit hard. Ulysses going to get hit by Zad, but Zad going to get pushed into the team, goes into stasis form. But is there any other way out? They have the Hand of Justice over top. They have another Hand of Justice and a Riptire, but Zad is so tanky. But Extra over to the backside, just trying to deal damage, and they have the Dragon Arrow over the back lane. Apocalypse going to land, and Zad is still somehow alive during all this. Will get taken down by the final bit, but Kagamine Led is also down. They have the extra healing coming through, but now Extra also getting quite low. Gonna go into the bunker and will be coming out, but the Shocker will finish it off, and that's gonna be a 2-for-1 so far, but it's still gonna be 4-on-3. Can Roll1Esports push in to end the game here? It's 50 seconds, and they do have a small wave, but I think it's a little bit too difficult for them. But what they did manage to do with that team fight is they prevented these Web Weavers from having any value at all for Surely We Scale. So they're still going to have a commanding lead over the map. They're still going to have commanding presence. And they managed to waste all of Ulysses' gems. They only have 30 left on the side of Surely We Scale. And now, meanwhile, on the side of Roll1Esports, they have enough for turn-in. And they also have the numbers to fight for boss. And Zad's going to have Breaststalker. So this fight's only going to become harder as time goes on. If they want to go in, they need to go in now or leash the boss. And they will buy a little bit of time that way. But Zad is going to be coming in right now. Only 66 souls, by the way, on the Diablo. Now the Breaststalker is coming in, but now the Burrow Charge does that on 2 and the Drag. And they're going to absolutely blow up the healer. And now their next target is going to be Ulysses. The Black Hole not timed perfectly, but Tie-Dye Tights actually going to be able to jump away and will dodge back on everything else. Still 4v5, but now they have no healer. and it's going to make it a lot harder for Shirley Scale. And now Memes is going to get blocked off. The Dragon Arrow does that under the backline. Apocalypse over top as well. Not going to stun onto everyone, but Memes is still trying to survive. Going to run into the bunker and will be alive there. Hector dealing so much damage onto this front line, but there's just no follow-up with it, and there's no healer. So Hector will get finished off. The boss did actually get leashed and heal back to full, but I don't even know if you need to bother with the boss anymore as Roll1Esports. However, if they're able to get it, they just win the game, I believe. It's 24 minutes deep. This boss is going to be very strong. And if we look at the boss damage, 438 to everything. But I believe they do get a bit of extra structure damage once they actually come out onto the map. But you have to go deal with the boss. You have to go deal with the bot lane. You have to go deal with the mid lane. There's just too much for Shirley We Scale. And it's going to be 840 damage to everything. And on top of that, there's going to be the Web Weavers. This is going to be an almost impossible defense for Shirley We Scale. Now the Bruiser camp is going to get finished off as the entire team has to reset. But this boss has 45,000 health. Deals 840 damage per auto. I don't think they can clear it. This is going to be so difficult for them. And Ulysses got to get caught. And with that, the D-Shield actually going to be coming out in time. So they are still alive, but going to get hit with a drag with the extra stun. They're going to go down. And Memes also going to get hit by the black hole. The jet propulsion go to prevent Hector. Dragon Arrow going to hit the goalpost. And Dr. Evil just going to go in between everyone, but there's just too much. There's nothing to happen here. It's going to be Roll1Esports just finishing them off. Memes and Kagami Len trying to do their best. Tie-Dye Tight's going to go down. They did everything they could, but Roll1Esports come out the victor. And once again, the theme of this entire series is whoever wins the early game wins the game. Roll1Esports, once they got all of those forts down from that one turn-in, it was just playing on the back foot from then on for Shirley We Scale. And they held on for a very long time. By no means, I do not want to disparage them. They played fantastic. Roll1Esports played fantastic. This is an incredible division to watch. From what I've seen so far, any team can beat any team. And that's what makes it fun. Now, we are going to be having an interview, so give me one moment to get that set up. Let me just find the right lobby. Okay, so hopefully someone will be joining us soon. It does look like someone will be. Then we can have our interview. But absolutely insane game. I'm not sure if anyone's going to be coming in. Do they have access to this one? I always forget which channels people can join in and which one people can't.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That last game was fun.
That last game was intense. Congratulations on your win, by the way. And
thank you.
Yeah, for those in chat, I am joined by Zad, the offlaner for Roll1Esports.
Yeah, I hope that people had fun watching that last one. Like, it was like stressful fun being in it, where it was felt really tight. Yeah. Like, even if one team got kills, it felt like both teams really preserved the gem count. So it's kind of like, yeah, we got kills, but like, we got to watch turn-in.
Yeah, and it was really fun to watch because I got to give a lot of props. You managed to, well, not you, but your entire team, Roll1Esports, you managed to keep Shirley We Scale off of those spider altars for so long. I think at one point they were at 170 gems.
So many.
And that's what makes it scary, because at that point, if you let any one of them through on their own, they can get turn-in.
Yeah, right. Like, who are you watching? Just everyone.
Yeah, so how were the comms during all that? How did you manage that, knowing how to watch everyone? Because that's who you had to watch. You had to watch everyone.
I think what we did is we just tried to prioritize like anyone we saw close, if that makes sense. And then what I tried to do is I kept trying to like take the bottom siege giants. So it's like, well, if they do get turn in, we only got to worry about 2 lanes now, not 3. So we tried to balance like poke and don't die with who we see, and maybe if we get lanes pushed out, that, you know, do you take a hit from minions? And turn in. You know what I mean? Like, so we tried to play like a tension game of poke and wave clear to make it so it's like, well, if it's on your side of the map, your turn in's less valuable if you get it.
Yeah, and it definitely ended up that way. Surely we scale managed to get 2 turn-ins in a row near the end of that game, but because of the wave states, they really were not able to push anything in.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those like I know post a lot of the changes over the games over the years. This did feel like one where it's like confirming structures or at least like tangible value on the map, right? Like, and it's nice that some of those early choices we made were things we could leverage later, even if they capitalized on some of our mistakes and made some plays that set up that double turn in, right?
Yeah, 100%. And you actually touched upon an interesting point where you said some of your earlier decisions. One thing I've been noticing, not just within your series, though it was definitely noticeable there, but just all across NGS, it seems that whichever team manages to get that little bit of a lead early is having a much easier time snowballing in the current season than they did last season. Do you think that's the case, or has that just been a coincidence so far?
I think for us, like from playing so many games of two over the years, we kind of finally hit a point of like the intent of the early spider is like if you can get one lane that actually can be pushed out more and it like a web weaver isn't landing as far, it's so much easier to like allocate your resources to quick clear the other two. And so I don't know if other teams are maybe being intentional about like, hey, if we can get one lane clear, it's one less chore to do when the opponent gets turned in, or it's less of a chore. I guess it's not a guaranteed clear.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I'm also specifically asking just about the game in general on any map. Because in game number 1, you won the early game and you were able to turn that into a victory. Game number 2, Surely We Scale, won the early game and they were just able
Yep.
to like pretty cleanly snowball it. I find that snowball in general, it's not, I wouldn't say it's more snowbally, but it seems cleaner than before.
And you know what? I think maybe you're right. It's the cleanliness. Like there's less. Like I'm sure if you put us in like either of our teams against a true Div A team or a heroic team, right? Like they're gonna find mistakes that we don't even know we're making. Um, but in the people that we've been playing with a lot, um, it gets easier to know like, hey, if somebody makes a mistake, what do we actually do with it to get a tangible benefit? Which then pads that lead and makes it harder, right? Like game 2, they did a really good. I think once both of their off lanes, which is weird, but like that's what they ran, right? Realize that like if they're pressuring both of my Vikings lanes equally, it's like I can't do anything, right? And that really like they got structures, they started killing the Vikings, and then it was like we don't have a soak lead. Our 4-man is weaker than their 4-man, right? So it's like really good decision making on their end in that game to just undercut what we were trying to do, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's been pretty enjoyable watching that because I think because of this, it opens up the kind of the league itself. Because even within your
Yes.
division, I think any team can beat any team right now, from what I've seen, and I've seen a decent amount.
Yeah, and like honestly, like our internal chats like before a match is like, hey, the reality is like looking at these teams, knowing who they've played, if it, even the top team, like they have to show up and play well, or another team could like 2-0, right? Um, and it's kind of nice to know that like you got to be at your like when you show up for your Nexus match, you gotta be on it because there's no free ride in our division, right? Every team is either played each other so much that you know strat 1, 2, and 3 and can anticipate it, or they're just getting better at, hey, this is a mistake, punish it, leverage it, right?
Yeah, perfectly said. Now, I do want to end the interview here, but before that, do you have anything you'd like to say to all your fans out there?
First off, thank you for casting. I really find I get a lot of value being able to watch a game from another person's perspective rather than just our own. And we always shout out uh, our Nexus wives, so to speak, for helping make sure that other things and our
Yeah,
obligations are taken care of, so we can
perfect.
play. And all the volunteers that help make this wonderful league run.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And once again, congratulations on your victory.
Awesome, thank you.
Good night. And with that, it'll be a good night to all of you as well. This was a very fun and decently long doubleheader. I will be taking tomorrow off, so unfortunately no casting will be happening then. I'm going out to dinner with my family. I'll cast on Friday, and then... No, I'll cast on Thursday, and then I'm also taking Friday off. But I'll still be back. I'll still be consistent. Just, it's going to be up in the air which days I cast, but I can at least guarantee you 3 to 4 days a week minimum. And once again, shout out to Match Masters. Thank you for sponsoring this stream. Match Masters is a competitive 1v1 match 3 puzzle game where you take turns on the same board and you can use those strategies to get in their way or make yourself stronger. Now download for free today, and even hitting the first goal of 100 trophies helps me out a lot and only takes 5 to 10 minutes, and it's completely free. So with that, take care, and I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good night, everyone.